Michele, thank you so much for joining me. S&P Data is just really happy to be celebrating International Women's Day, and to have esteemed leaders like you who've really cracked the ceiling is just, going to be so inspirational for our emerging leaders to have a conversation. And the theme I want to talk about today is bravery and bravery in your career. And sometimes bravery, comes in different forms. And one of the forms that they come in is being brave enough to be yourself. Many years ago, I got some advice, about a woman in the office, and was told, don't talk about your personal life. Men don't care about your kids. They don't care about your pets. They don't want to hear about that. Just focus on business. And basically I was being told, don't be yourself. And so I thought that was such daunting feedback. And then when I started in my career, I did meet women who were like that. And maybe it's a personal choice, or maybe they got that advice and they were following it. But then I met leaders like you, who was just yourself. You just was like, I am who I am. This is me. I do talk about my family. I do talk about my personal life, and you had the bravery to be yourself. So what was that like as a leader growing, in your career, and having the bravery to just be yourself?
Yeah, it's funny, the sign behind me, I don't know if you can see it all, but it says, I came to this world to live out loud. And I am an out loud person just by nature. I'm an extroverted extrovert. So I love to meet people. I love to build relationships. And so, I heard that too, Erin, very early on, about just I remember a male boss of mine back in the day saying, I had to give a presentation to a bunch of my employees, and I had just been starting out, brand new leader. And I mentioned that I'd gotten no sleep the night before because I had a newborn. Mm-hmm. And so that I'm sorry if, my presentation wasn't as strong as it should be, because I was just really, I remember him pulling me aside after the presentation and said, people just don't want to know that. They don't want to know about your personal issues that you're dealing with. You just need to, buck it up and do your presentation and, hang in there, pull it up. I don't know. I just think I go by the rule of you come to yourself authentic, and then people know who you are and they know what to expect. And then they can decide whether they want to build a relationship with you, but it's not because you're holding back. I truly believe it.
Yeah, and when you're like that, you're more approachable, right? You're the people who you're leading.
I think so.
It humanizes yourself, and that whole essence of humanizing yourself as a leader, I think women have done a great job at that, of bringing that humanization into their careers and into the office life, and that way it has made them far more approachable, far more relatable to their staff, and not just their female staff, but their men's staff too. There's a lot of guys out there who have been up all night with their babies, and they may be feeling it the next day too. So it definitely brings a layer of humanization when you bring your
absolutely.
For sure. And one of the other things that I find exciting that you've done.
And there's other ways that you say, another way that shows up at work. Like, one of the things that I kind of prided myself on in my career is holding focus groups and holding like one-on-ones with staff from the most entry level, all the way up to my direct reports, to really talk to them about what's on their mind, what they're thinking, what we need to be doing differently. And part of that, you have to be approachable in order to get employees to talk in that kind of forum. Mm-hmm. And it's feedback certainly that I received through my 360 reviews and that kind of thing, that employees really found that beneficial, that they felt like they could talk to me. They felt like I was really listening. And I think part of that is building that relationship.
Something else that I've always, I've really admired of you as well is, that idea of, and this is as you get to a point in your career, especially, when women, you have children, you have elderly parents, you have a career, and it's that sandwich generation that, that you get kind of stuck in it, where there's all this responsibility that normally falls on women in the household of this caring, I have to care about my job, I have to care for my children, I have to care for my elderly parents, I have to care for my elderly in-laws, and you get really squashed. And sometimes giving up one of them or stepping back from one of them is a sign of failure. And you've taken a step back from your career, you've taken a year sabbatical. which some people would consider career suicide, and you had the bravery to say, I'm taking a step back. So what kind of bravery did you need to do that, to say, I'm taking a year off?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think it starts with knowing yourself and really having introspection on who you are and how you're showing up.
Yeah.
And I think after working for 35 years, almost straight, the only time I wasn't working is when I was birthing those babies, or I've been laid off a few times in my career.
Yeah.
So working that hard and climbing the career ladder as far as leaderships and positions of additional responsibility, it was a lot. In the last 6 years, I traveled probably 90 to 95% of my work time. In the last 3 years, specifically global travel. And although that may sound glamorous to some, it's a lot of work. It is. You're constantly on the go. You've got jet lag. You're in a new place. You're meeting new people. All this in the last year that I just wasn't bringing my best self to work. I wasn't the leader that I recognized. And from that authenticity place, I didn't notice this person. She was tired. She was grumpy. Yeah. She wasn't motivated. And that's not who I am. And so I did that period of self-reflection. I spoke to a few people. I spoke to a few executive coaches and made that conscious decision. You know what? I'm just going to step back. I'm going to take some time for me. I also, speaking about the sandwich generation, have a mother who's turning 88 this week. And with all of my travel, I wasn't able to spend any time with her.
Yeah.
And now with the sabbatical, I go far away and I get to spend time with her even during this whole COVID situation. Yeah. So, it's opened up time for that, more time for my children, more time for my boyfriend, more time for me to just relax and gain a new perspective and to just kind of recharge. Not everybody can afford, right, financially to take time off. And I totally get that.
It's not always.
So there's other ways to make that work in your life.
Self-care,
you can either take.
Self-care is sometimes considered selfish, when it's actually quite the opposite.
It can be. Yes, it helps you recharge, right? And it makes you a better leader. It makes you a more caring, thoughtful, engaging leader. And so you can do that through either more kind of conscientiously planning things around what makes you walks in nature or something on the water. But you can conscientiously book that into your time, whether it's on the weekend or in the evenings, or take a mental health day and don't feel guilty about it. It is absolutely okay. Book yourself a day and do whatever it is, whether it's sitting in a bathtub all day long or it's going, for a spa treatment, or if it's just going for a really long, uninterrupted walk, right? You can do things that will make you kind of recharge your batteries. But I think the most important thing in that is knowing yourself well enough to know when you need it. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's true. I mean, I think there's a lot of that, guilt and shame that goes along with wanting to take care of yourself first, and I always think that when you're on an airplane and that thing comes down, and they have that video of when those air, dispensers things come down, and they always show that video of a mother putting it on her, herself first before she puts it on her child. And it always makes me think that you're useless to anyone else if you aren't taking care of yourself, that you can't help put that thing on your kid's face on the airplane if you're passed out. So it's a good reminder. And I always kind of giggle that if you want to be useful to the people you care about the most,
exactly right,
then you have to take care of yourself. So it's a great example. And thank you for living that example for leaders such as myself and anyone else who looks up to you.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, totally. Well, I thank you so much. I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's been a fantastic opportunity to catch up with you. It's been too long, Michele. And I wish you all the best with your sabbatical. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, Erin. It's so great to see you, and good luck with your International Women's Day. Congratulations on spearheading up for your team.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.